Man, do it at the right time.
Nothing to do with you.
Do it at the right time.
Go.
Go where?
Go away.
Go where?
You want me to split on your
Yes,
face or punch
do it.
you?
What good is a world without women? And what good is the UFC without its women's division? When it comes to crazy moments, you can bet women are right at the top. And this time, we are talking about the wildest and craziest moments in UFC women's division history. From brutal bouts and deadly knockdowns to pure embarrassing moments. These are the absolute craziest moments in women's UFC history. Alright, let's kick things off with one of the all-time greats in the UFC, Ronda Rousey. Ronda's name brings up a lot of mixed reactions. On one hand, she was a trailblazer for women's MMA and had a stellar career. On the other hand, she's not without her controversies. But you can't deny the electrifying moments she brought to the UFC, and one of the craziest moments was her fight against Cat Zingano at UFC 184 in 2015. Back in the build-up to the fight, everyone was saying Cat was going to be Ronda's biggest challenge yet. She was undefeated and had this incredible willpower. But when the bell rang for them at UFC 184, it took Ronda just 14 seconds to take her down with a perfectly executed armbar. That fight tied for the fastest submission in UFC history and still holds the record for the fastest win in a UFC women's fight, as Ronda made quick work of Zingano. Now, it is one thing to be on the receiving end of the fastest finish in female division UFC history, but it is a whole level crazier to get shit beaten out of you, literally. See, on June 25, 2017, strawweight fighters Felice Herrig and Justine Kish squared off at UFC Fight Night 112 in Oklahoma City. Everyone expected a regular fight, but what went down is something neither the fans nor Kish will ever forget. The bout started with some solid grappling. Herrig soon secured a body triangle, a move where you squeeze your opponent's torso with your legs in a figure-4 position. It's a pretty standard maneuver in the UFC, but this time, things took a bizarre turn. As Herrig tightened the hold and they rolled over, fans noticed large brown spots on the mat. Yup, Herrig's body triangle was so tight, it literally forced the poop out of Kish. Despite the incident, both fighters kept grappling as if nothing had happened. Kish continued to fight through it, showing incredible grit. In the end, shit happens, and Kish lost the fight by decision. I mean, can you really beat the shit out of someone and still expect not to win? But as crazy as that was, few things top an unexpected comeback win. We've seen wild comebacks like Anderson Silva vs. Chael Sonnen 1 and Brock Lesnar vs. Shane Carwin. But in the women's division, it doesn't get more thrilling than Miesha Tate vs. Holly Holm at UFC 196. This fight was part of a stacked card, overshadowed a bit because Conor McGregor and Nathan Diaz followed with another memorable bout. Still, Tate vs. Holm was nothing short of spectacular. It was a title fight and both women started off cautiously, finding their range. Holly Holm clearly had the upper hand, scoring better in most exchanges and leading 3-1 on the scorecards going into the 5th round. But with just 2 minutes left in the final round, Miesha Tate pulled off the impossible. The fact that Tate was able to slip her forearm under Holm's neck, maintain control, and apply the squeeze until the champion went flat out was beyond crazy. It shocked everyone. That said, while choking a champion out flat is a crazy finish to any fight, Amanda Nunes vs. Chris Cyborg at UFC 232 took things to another level. This was the first ever female UFC super fight, pitting bantamweight champion Amanda Nunes against featherweight champion Chris Cyborg. Coming into the bout, Cyborg was 20-1, with her only defeat way back in 2005, and was expected to dominate the 16-4 Nunes. But as soon as the bout started, it all came down to speed and accuracy. Nunes proved she was a step ahead, landing powerful right hands that produced several flash knockdowns. Cyborg got up a few times, but Nunes kept the pressure on and delivered a final perfect right hand that left Cyborg face planted on the mat, all in just 51 seconds. thanks to this blitz, Nunes, the Lioness, showed she was the true queen of the UFC jungle, adding the featherweight belt to her bantamweight crown. But next up, we have what is undoubtedly one of the greatest female fights and one of the best bouts in combat sports history. Joanna Jędrzejczyk vs. Zhang Weili at UFC 248 in 2020. This fight had it all. Going into this fight, the stakes were high for both fighters. Joanna wanted to prove she was still an elite talent at strawweight after losing the title to Rose Namajunas. For Weili, this was her first title defense, and winning would solidify her incredible rise to the top. From the moment the bell rang, both fighters went to war, an all-out war. The fight was packed with high-level action, as both fighters traded kicks, punches, and elbows in a tense back-and-forth battle across all the rounds. By the end, Weili and Joanna had delivered the greatest fight in women's UFC history at T-Mobile Arena, though Weili took the win, retaining her UFC strawweight title. However, the result felt almost secondary to the epic, all-gas, no-brakes nature of the fight. This bout was simply one of a kind. But speaking of the craziest moment in women's UFC history, one moment stands out, not just for the moment itself, but for the build-up and aftermath. Back in 2015, Ronda Rousey, the first UFC bantamweight champion, was on a dominant run. With 12 consecutive victories, 6 straight successful title defenses, and 4 wins in a combined 2 minutes and 10 seconds, Rousey was on another level. She was becoming a mainstream star, appearing in movies, making the rounds on late-night talk shows, and even announcing her matchups on Good Morning America. This time, she was set to face Holly Holm, a former boxing champion who had recently joined the UFC. Come UFC 193, in front of the largest crowd in UFC history, some 56,000 spectators at Etihad Stadium in Melbourne, Australia, Rousey and Holm faced off. Feeling as confident as ever, Rousey charged as soon as the bell rang, looking to add Holm to her list of vanquished foes. However, the former multiple-time world champion boxer had other ideas. Holm put on a clinic against Rousey. She outboxed her, using her kicks effectively, and Rousey struggled to adapt to Holm's attacks. With less than a minute into the second round, came the moment Holmes shocked the world. Damn! She slept Rousey with a high kick, knocking her unconscious and becoming just the second bantamweight champion in the women's division. That kick was the end of Rousey in the UFC, as she would fight once more, losing to Amanda Nunes before retiring from MMA. There you have it. Drop a comment below and let us know which moment blew your mind the most. If you had a blast watching this, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll know right away when we've got more crazy content. Catch you all in the next one.